Hi, everyone. We're ready for our, I think, fourth or fifth in this series. We're working with very basic practice of awareness, and which in this case takes the form of a guided meditation, where we begin with a thorough relaxation of the body, and with that relaxation, the mind also relaxes. The feelings drop into their proper place and perspective. And we're able to actually inhabit our body and be here. So, start by taking a large inhale, an exhale, sink into whatever it is you're sitting on. Feel the weight of the body. If your arms are resting on your thighs, you feel the weight of your hands on your thighs. Sense any air movement, moving the delicate hairs on your skin. Temperature. All sensations. Let's keep it really simple. We don't need to have thoughts about these things. It doesn't have to be good or bad, more like a CCTV camera looking at someone walking up to an ATM. There's no commentary. Save the commentary for later. At this point, we just want to be in this place as quietly as we can, directing the attention of the mind to the task that we're taking on. The mind, like a little child, sometimes needs its hand held and to be directed. We begin with a sense that the body is filled with something that moves, maybe a fluid of some sort. And we have the body filled with that fluid right up to the top of the skull. And then we bring the mind to noticing the sensations in the top of the skull. Maybe a little tension across the forehead. It's just kind of naturally there. Maybe you can feel the air moving through the hair on the top of the head. The idea now is that we slowly lower the level of this fluid. And as we slowly lower the level of this fluid, the sensations at the line of that lowering become available to us. We are able to look at them, like dropping in an elevator with a glass front. And we can choose our breathing pattern to represent this lowering of the level. As we come down from the scalp, maybe to just above the eyebrows, just above the top of the ear. And we let whatever tension is in that part go. And we start to have a realization of being pretty centered, pretty present. We have a task. We're just working on this task. As we let the tension lower now to the tops of the ears, you can feel maybe a little bit warm. The ears, pretty sensitive. Eyebrows. Lowering to the tops of the eyes. Try and let go of any tension around the muscles of the eyes. There are lots and lots of little muscles there. And as you let go of the muscles around the eyes, you become aware of the muscles on the very tops of the cheeks going back toward the ears and the jaw muscle that comes right underneath the ears. And you let go tension there. And you start to get a picture of how much we don't have attention for how the body is. There are all these things that are showing up we might have never have noticed. Move down the jaw muscle, the upper lip, bottom of the nose, muscles around the mouth, the tongue. Many of us have tensions in the jaw that we're sometimes aware of when it gets extreme. Clenching, teeth grinding, all those sort of things. We just let all that go. It's not needed. Not needed at present. We're just sitting here taking a few minutes out for ourselves in the highest sense. Reaching into a different sphere than we usually know ourselves to be in. Then we drop down into the chin, the back of the neck, the top of the spine. Each breath lowering the level of this tension little by little. As you learn this practice, you'll be able to drop into this state after a while almost instantaneously. In fact, a good exercise is maybe when you walk through a door or something and you feel to be reminded of this state which may, as time goes by, take on some meaning for you, that you walk through that door and you just say, let it go, relax. Whatever tensions that are there are not needed. Or you get into your car to take off and drive and you just exhale and come to something resembling this state. The more often you do it, the more you'll be able to. It's like cleaning your glasses or your windshield. It gives you a better perspective. Okay, now we're going to go down both arms as one. Out the shoulders. The level is dropping. Down the upper arms. Whatever sensation is available, you use that. There's quite a bit of air movement in this room right now. That's what I'm sensing. Down to the elbows. Forearms. And then as though the fingertips were open like faucets, and we'll let all of this residual stuff that we've been holding on the next exhale run out through the fingertips. Now we'll return to the bottom of the neck. Top of the spine, the clavicles, down into the top of the rib cage, heart center. Again, we don't need descriptors. We're just working with this very basis of our existence, which is sensation. Sensation there long before thought. Long before language. And we let the level drop down into the organs, the diaphragm. If you know the location of your organs, you can sense them as you go by, and kidneys off to each side, liver above them on the right, intestines, stomach, moving down, sexual organs. Feel the weight on the backs of your thighs, of the body sitting. Sense the backs of the thighs, the tops of the thighs, the knees, calves relaxing, shin, ankles, the myriad bones in the feet, toes. And return to the top of the spine. And on your exhale, let everything that's been accumulated, that we've looked at, out through the toes. And sense the whole body. Don't feed the mind. That can happen after this is over. You can pick up that habit. Just stay with this very, very simple, very clean, expansive state. Nothing blocking, nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just being here. The mind is so used to just running away, having its own way, carrying on, creating everything it creates. We're just saying here, hey, take a break. Take a break. Plenty of time. As we move into a exercise in sensing and in this awareness of this stillness, which we'll call I am. About as basic on the one hand as you can get, and also very, to use a term, cosmic. Okay, we'll return the attention to the back of the head. And from the back of the head, we will allow sensation to move into and fill the right arm. When we do this, you can use your breath to fill that limb, in a sense, but we're filling it with attention. The attention is focused on whatever the sensation is in that limb. Temperature, airflow, weight. If you're very sensitive, blood flow. You can feel nerve endings popping off and on. We just fill that limb so that it becomes illuminated in a sense, more so than the rest of the body, because the attention is there. The rest of the body is still there. It's just that the focus is on this right arm. And when we've reached a place where that is maximal, take another breath, and on the exhale, breathe the sense, I am. Maybe just the vibration of the sound. Made inside the mind. And bring the attention back to the back of the head. And on the exhale, fill the right leg with the attention on the sensation that is in that leg. We aren't introducing anything that's not there. Just allowing the awareness of it to pervade. And when we've filled that right leg maximally, take another breath. And allow I am, the sense of, to pervade that leg. Some of you may be having a sense of some kind of an experience that is beyond your usual daily experience. Don't try and peg it with a name. Enjoy it. But don't try and label it. The mind wants to label it because it thinks it can come back to that. Oh, that was so great. That was such a good movie. I'm going to buy another ticket and go see that movie again. No. The movie you see the next time isn't going to be the same one. You'll have seen it. It'll be different. Same with this. Just allow it to be what it is. Return the attention to the back of the head. On your exhale, fill the left leg with the attention on the sensation that is there. Those of you who had yoga experience will realize, if you look at this, that it's essentially the same as the body in movement, except what's in movement here is the attention, which in Hatha Yoga is the same thing, but we are not directed to that. So here the body is still, but we're moving the attention out of daily life, for starters, and into the spirit of who we are, of what we are. Pre-thought, pre-feeling, pre-language. What we are essentially. So now the left leg is filled maximally, as much as we can. We take another breath. On the exhale, we send the sense I am to that leg. And we return the breath to the back of the head. Let's send the attention. We focus on the left arm, and we allow sensation to fill that limb. And I can check back here too and see if maybe the face has tightened up a little bit. There's unnecessary tension in the upper lip or around the eyes or the jaw. Can let that go while we are filling the left arm. Take another breath with the attention at the back of the head and allow the left arm to receive the sense, I am. Now take a deep breath as I return my attention to the back of the head. And on the exhale, fill the entire body with sensation and the sense of I am. That's it for the exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
My pleasure. It's been a long time since I've done this regularly. The exercise. And I gotta say, it's a great revisiting. It expands each time for me. I just realize how much is in there, what it reveals, what it brings out. It's really pretty amazing for something that seems so, that is so simple. Yeah.
I've been enjoying doing this each week and looking forward to it and feeling like the experience is deepening as well for me. And then just like such a nice feeling of peace at the very end for me that felt like there was no striving or goal. It just simply was more of a field that already had been established, or that it just was the I am sense, and effortlessness and grace about it, which was really a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I mean, the effortlessness is amazing because as our mind operates, and it's always been told, you got to work at this, you got to, and it brings a lot of tension. As a musician, I mean, especially in improvisation and all of that, I mean, you get to a certain point where you have a language, and then using that language, it doesn't involve thought at some point. It moves on its own, effortlessly. And yes, when all of the strictures are removed, we're this incredible energy that is open, spacious. There's room, but when we're essentially living in our heads, it's very limited. It's not our natural state. It's that's been laid on. So to return to this glimpse of the possibilities, it's pretty amazing. And like I said, during the exercise, the mind always wants to recapture something. But the thing is, it's kind of like writing on water, or in the sand. You can write it, but it's going to go away. It just doesn't have. There isn't anything that is always there in the phenomenal world. So, but habitually we start, that seems to be the process, We got to have all these things that we hang on to, that we then become beliefs, that we're hanging on to because they worked at one point in our lives. They might not anymore, but we're not, we have no education or information on how to keep moving in our lives, so we hang on to this stuff and a lot of it is not, what's the term? It's not doesn't benefit us. It's not helping. So by looking deeply, starting with this manner, you can cut loose a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I again appreciate the actual process of like the exercise, because my monkey mind was still going through certainly probably most of it, not frenetically, but nevertheless it would like drift to a thought here, and then I'd come back to the exercise, and it would drift to a thought there,
Sure.
and I'd come back to the exercise. But then by the end it was like, and then there were some moments where I did a couple of other things in addition to the exercise, and like, okay, now I'm even more energized. But by the end it was like I wasn't having to try. I'd kind of done the work already, and so I was able to just kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure. It's resting in this incredible openness, peace, whatever. I mean, again, let's not try and label it,
right.
But there's something that is very different than usually I experience, and I can just say, that's great, okay, and because again, if I try and nail it, and this is the habit of the mind, it's totally, we've totally, like you could say, untrained. It's not, since it's not trained, it takes its own paths, and generally they end up in things that we would rather them not, like suffering, for instance. I mean, suffering, you describe it as one thought in conflict with another. Thought,
Or rehearsing possible outcomes in the future that may or may not occur.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what are we even going to rehearse, right?
That's the whole thing. And when you've been through it 50 million times, I think that's one thing. Yeah. When you've been through it many, 50, you still fall for it to an extent, because it's the way of the world. But through working with this kind of a process, it loosens up, and there remains it's always there. There is that sees what is. Truthfully and always. And we lose track of that because the mind, we've given it provenance over all of everything. And it's basically a calculator. And if it has bad information, you get bad results. And there's a lot of bad information in that calculator. I mean, there's bad programming, So this can clean it up. This is a debug.
Yeah, exactly.
This is debug, debug it, become, allow it to take its rightful place. I mean, there was a great parable I heard this morning actually about, it's like, I've lived, I've been a servant in this house for my entire life, and my master is very demanding, unrelenting, won't give me much space, and I'm getting fed up with it. This is the story. And so I start to look through the house, opening all the doors, because I'm going to give him a piece of my mind, this master. And I look, and I cover the entire house, from the attic to the basement. It's a big house. And I can't find him. I look, and I look, and I look. And I've been convinced that he is the master of this house. And yet, I cannot find him. Yeah. And, yeah.
So then he realizes that he is the master?
that this, it really goes back to the old Wizard of Oz thing, madly back there, and saying, don't open the curtain. Yeah, don't open the curtain, don't open the curtain. It's not there, That one that drives me, that keeps the conflict going, that the one that says, I was talking to my grandson the other day, and he's a bright young man, and we were talking, and he said, yeah, well, usually I just like to picture life like, if I put myself in the position of saying, how did he even put it? Anyhow, it was basically saying, everything is crap. It's not going to get any better. So what is as good as it gets. You know, it's kind of like negating everything and taking that as the positive, which is kind of a thing that we do. You know, it's like, yeah. And it's not necessary. Yeah. Expect the worst.
That's the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But a lot of people live, you know, and if it's better, great.
Mm-hmm. One of my friends has this saying, expectations reduce joy.
Absolutely. You don't know what's going to happen.
And it could be extraordinary.
It could be, you know, and the thing is, yeah, there's just, I mean, this is what, you know, it's the way that we have adopted, you know, through cultural, family, all these values that we've taken on, you know. And this pandemic could be, I mean, it is offering a whole new way of seeing things in that sense. Because, first of all, we pretty much take it for granted that, I mean, this is, the general view is that, you know, we are this body is going to die, and then we won't be, you know, but that's the general application, you know, of life, you know, and that's why we want to hang on to the body, you know, so desperately, and not die and not get sick, you know, and so this is very frightening from that viewpoint. It can't get worse from that perspective, from that frame of reference. So, and with that so widespread, you know, it's sort of asking the question, okay, is there another frame of reference? You know, is this I am just in this, as my old girlfriend used to say, in this sack of skin? Or is it, you know, beyond? So those are the kind of questions, you know. Is consciousness localized? Or what's this relationship with these blue herons and these egrets, you know? And this whole life on this, you know, bubbling surface of this planet, you know? And is this planet itself aware?
You used the term cosmic at one point in meditation. I'm like, oh, that was a great word. And I learned something this week. Cosmic, spelled with a C, represents the manifest physicality, everything that you can see, from the stars to the moon to everything that's tangible and material. Cosmic, spelled with a K, K-O-S, is the unmanifest form.
Huh, interesting. That's Greek, I assume. Yeah, because, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like before there's manifest, before there's material and physical, there's the unmanifest, that which the eye does not see.
Right.
Right?
And that is true, you know, given, you know, the, yeah, it's like this body, I've heard it described as a t-shirt we put on to experience the world, you know, and then the t-shirt's, you know, gets old and falls apart, and you know, up to you what you want to, you know, but that wore the T-shirt, those are good questions. I mean, just in terms of changing the frame of reference, and the frame of reference the day-to-day frame of reference that we use doesn't seem to me to really work very well. I mean, we have responsibilities in the world that we've taken on, and we have taken them on, and we will fulfill them to the best of our ability, in the world. And I think our ability to do that increases when we do change the frame of reference from exclusively the world outside to bringing it into the heart, into the awareness. It changes it and gives us a much broader picture, a much more accepting picture. And, it's lots of examples in the world of people whose perspective and frame of reference has changed a certain amount, and then there's more than there's the sages whose perspective has changed even more so. I mean, you go from, I don't know if people are familiar with a lot of the Indians, but, there's a ton, the Buddha, for instance, Jesus, this frame of reference that they lived from was much, much different than the daily frame of reference. So, not to, get carried away, but do these kind of exercises, this kind of looking inside and asking different questions opens the doors to that kind of perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's very important, In fact, I think I said that a few weeks ago. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added, which is my kind of stance. Before doing, the doing is very limited. What can be done is very limited from the frame of reference that we generally operate from. We do what we can. We have our local politics, we have national politics, we have religion, we have ways of looking at things, we have, all of the myriad, phenomenal things that we can do, but it's not based in something very solid. It's all mind activity that there's nothing stable. It's all opinion, and it all moves, and so what doesn't change? Even almost, but the only thing that doesn't change is what we truly are, which is awareness. It's colorless. It's in every being. It doesn't have an opinion. It sees everything without judgment or comment. No good, no bad, no right, no wrong. That's all the province of the mind, because it has to look, the yes, no. So if we're operating from this yes-no duality, we come up with a yes-no world. And in the yes-no world, it's like the board in the game. And we were assigned to the game, and we take part in the game. And the game can run us, or we can see the game for what it is and be at peace with it and at joy with it, because the game is kind of this low level. It has little pictures of what things really are. It has little pictures of love, little bits and snippets, and little pictures of joy, and little pictures of happiness, little parts, that's what we really are, and it has little kind of appetizers in the yes-no game. But in the solidity of awareness, it goes way, way, way beyond the appetizers. It's the meal. It's as though, everybody, it's like, why isn't, and actually underneath the movie of life as we see it is the screen that it's projected on. It's always there, it's always the same. The screen is never affected by what's projected on it. It's always the same. And so discerning the difference between the movie and the screen becomes an interesting way to look at things, that open things up. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.